Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast. I'm really glad to have y'all here with me today. When I first started thinking about this assignment, I kept coming back to one question. What actually makes someone good at working with other people? Most people would say experience, communication, or just knowing how to do the job. And I think those things definitely matter. But I think one thing that is often overlooked is emotional intelligence. The interesting thing about emotional intelligence is that you usually don't notice it when everything is going well. You usually notice it when things start to fall apart. That's when you usually find out who's able to stay calm, who's willing to listen, and who is willing to make the situation better instead of worse. So, today I want to talk about a workplace situation that really shows why emotional intelligence matters. This isn't just about one specific company or one real person. It's a realistic situation based on kinds of problems that happen every day in a workplace all over the place. Whether it's retail, a warehouse, a restaurant, or really jobs where people just have to work together in situations like this happen more often than people think. So picture this. It's a Friday afternoon at a sporting goods store. The weekend sale starts the next morning. So everyone it has been busy. The employees have been getting ready for this all week, but there was one problem. The shipment was supposed to arrive early in the morning that morning, but didn't show up till almost 4 hours late. As soon as the truck pulls in, everyone realizes they are behind schedule. Boxes are stacked everywhere, shelves still need to be stocked, and online orders are still waiting to be filled. Customers are already walking in asking questions about certain products, and the employees are trying to do three different jobs at once. Right away, you can feel the stress in the building. One employee, I'll call him Alex, getting frustrated because it feels like no one is moving fast enough. Another employee, Taylor, is trying to help customers while unpacking boxes. Before long, Alex starts making comments like, "Can someone actually help me over here?" And "I'm doing this work all myself." At first, Taylor ignores it, but hearing it for a few more times, Taylor finally snaps back. Now they're arguing in the middle of the stockroom. Other employees stop what they are doing because everyone hears it now. Nobody knows what to do or say, so they just keep working while pretending they aren't listening. You can almost feel the mood change in the room. Instead of everyone working towards the same goal, people started worrying about the argument. Some employees quietly took sides, and other ones try to avoid the conversation because they didn't want to get dragged into the drama. And honestly, that's usually how the situation goes. The original problem wasn't really the shipment being late anymore. The bigger problem was becoming how people reacted to stress. That's when the shift supervisor stepped in. I'll call him Jordan. What stood out to me wasn't that Jordan magically fixed everything, it was how he handled the situation from the beginning. Instead of walking over there and yelling at everyone to get back to work, Jordan asked Alex and Taylor if they could step in his office for a few minutes. That might not sound like a big deal, but I think it made a huge difference. If you've ever worked somewhere, you've probably seen a supervisor immediately start blaming people or raising their voice. Sometimes they think that this is the quickest way to resolve the problem, but in reality, it usually makes everyone feel more defensive. Jordan completely took a different approach. He let Alex explain what he had to happen without interrupting. Then he let Taylor tell the story from her point of view. Something I noticed was Jordan wasn't listening just so he could respond. He was actually listening and trying to understand why each person reacted the way they did. That reminded me of something that we've talked about in class called active listening. Active listening isn't just hearing someone's words, it's paying attention to what they are saying, asking questions, and making sure they feel understood before trying to resolve the problem. And honestly, I think that's something people don't do enough. Most of the time, people are already thinking about what they're going to say next instead of just listening. Jordan didn't do that in this situation. After hearing both sides, it became more obvious that neither employees had actually been trying to make others' jobs even harder. Alex just felt overwhelmed because there was a lot of boxes piling up. Taylor felt overwhelmed because customers kept pulling away from her stocking shelves. Neither person was in the wrong. They were just dealing with all kinds of pressure at once. Once they realized that, you could almost see the tension in the room disappear. The conversation shifted from blaming each other to figuring out how they could get through the rest of the shift. Another thing that really stood out to me was how calm Jordan stayed the entire time. Think about it for a second. The store schedule was behind. Customers were waiting. The employees were arguing. The supervisor had every reason to get frustrated at this point. But instead of making everyone's else's motions or matching everyone else's emotions, Jordan stayed calm. Looking back at the problem, what prevented everything from getting worse, if Jordan had walked into the office yelling and blaming everyone, Alex and Taylor probably would have been more defensive. Instead of solving the problem, everyone spent the rest of their day arguing with each other. So this situation could have just got worse. I think that the calm response actually was a great example of emotional intelligence or emotional regulation, because emotional regulation is basically being able to control your emotions instead of letting your emotions control you. And I think that's a lot harder than people realize. It's an easy way to stay calm when everything is going well, or it definitely is easier to stay calm when everything is going well. But it's definitely much harder when deadlines are piling up, customers are waiting, and people are just getting frustrated at once. After talking for a few minutes, Jordan came up with a simple plan. Instead of having Taylor um, split their time between the customers and stocking shelves, another employee covered the sales floor while Taylor helped unload the shipment. Alex was asked to focus on organizing the products instead of trying to do everything alone. It wasn't just some complicated situation, but because everyone actually understood what needed to happen, the rest of the shift actually went a lot smoother. Within about an hour, people were joking with each other. The tension started filling the room. It was a lot more smoother throughout the day. And honestly, I think one of the biggest lessons from this situation that everyone learned was the late shipment. The late shipment really wasn't what created the conflict. The shipment actually what create the pressure on everybody. Um, what happens after this is definitely almost entirely how people should definitely handle their emotions. They shouldn't definitely start just spazzing out on each other or just getting upset with each other. They should just sit back and think of the situation and think about what's going on and why they're acting this way. I think if Alex and Taylor would have really just took a second before yelling at each other and just asked each other what was going on in that situation, they could have really figured out a better way to go about the situation. Maybe they could have helped each other at the same time, like knocked one thing out and then came back to the other. But that argument really just threw their time away. They really just wasted a lot of time with that argument. So I think if they would have just talked amongst each other and actually, like I said, got to understand what the situation was and why they were getting mad at each other and like what was actually happening, they would have actually fixed the situation a lot faster than it took. But I thank y'all for listening to my podcast. I hope y'all enjoyed.